When summer arrives, the sun beating down and local authorities issuing strict hose bans. My neighbors' gardens will turn dry and yellow. They'll be out there at 5 in the morning, stressing about expensive drip lines and praying for rain. But my garden, when the heat hits, it will still be lush and green. The tomatoes will be heavy, the peppers will be thriving, and I won't have turned on my garden hose in over a month. They'll think I'm secretly watering at night, breaking the city rules. But the truth is, I'll be using a completely legal 200-year-old secret I learned from an off-grid Amish farmer. It costs nothing, it uses no electricity, and it completely eliminates the need for modern irrigation during the worst summer drought. At the local water utility company, they hope you never figure this out, because the secret to drought-proofing your entire harvest isn't sold in a plastic pipe. It comes from a sheep, specifically a dirty, unwashed ball of raw wool, buried exactly 8 inches below the surface. Let me show you why burying this bizarre item will make your watering can and your summer water bill completely obsolete. If you walk into any big home improvement store today, what's the first thing you see in the garden center? Aisles and aisles of black plastic tubing, micro sprinklers, and expensive digital timers. Let me be perfectly clear. The modern irrigation industry is a multi-billion-dollar illusion. You buy their plastic systems. You spend an entire weekend sweating in the dirt to install them, and what happens? The plastic bakes and cracks in the summer sun. The tiny nozzles clog with hard water. Winter comes, the lines freeze, and they shatter. And next spring, you're right back in that store, opening your wallet to buy it all over again. It's a brilliant, highly profitable subscription model for your backyard. And who else is laughing all the way to the bank? Your local water monopoly. Right when your tomatoes and peppers are desperate for a drink in July, the city hits you with surge pricing and punitive summer water rates. They've conditioned us to believe the only way to keep a plant alive is to pump treated, chlorinated city water through a plastic tube with a meter attached. But if you drive out to Amish country, where they grow acres of massive, drought-proof crops, without a single PVC pipe, timer, or water meter in sight, you'll see a completely different reality. They do not rely on fragile plastic. They rely on natural systems. They still use the exact methods modern agriculture spent 70 years and millions of dollars trying to make you forget. They understand that nature designed a perfect, unbreakable underground reservoir thousands of years ago. And it doesn't crack, it doesn't clog, and it certainly doesn't send you a bill at the end of the month. So what exactly is this unbreakable underground reservoir? It's raw, unwashed sheep's wool. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. Wool is for winter sweaters, not vegetable gardens. But if you were to take a single fiber of that raw wool and put it under a microscope, you wouldn't see just a strand of hair. You would see millions of tiny overlapping scales. You would see a biological super sponge. When you bury a handful of wool beneath the root zone of your plants, you're literally installing a high-capacity water battery. A single pound of wool can absorb and hold up to 30 times its own weight in water. Think about that for a second. When the heavy spring rains come, or when you do your initial spring watering, instead of that moisture washing away your topsoil and disappearing deep into the ground, the buried wool absorbs it all. It locks it deep underground, safe from evaporation from the scorching sun. But it doesn't just trap the water, it acts as a smart pump. In the dead of July, when the top 3 inches of your soil turn to bone-dry dust, that wool goes to work. Through a natural process called capillary action, it slowly sweats that stored moisture back into the surrounding soil, exactly when the roots need it. The plant roots will grow toward that wool. They will wrap themselves completely around it, drinking directly from the source. And here's the real kicker that makes chemical companies sweat. Wool is not just an automatic watering system, it's a slow-release nitrogen bomb. Wool is made almost entirely of a structural protein called keratin. That is the exact same tough protein found in animal horns. And that keratin contains up to 17% nitrogen, as soil microbes slowly break down that buried wool. Over the course of a growing season, they're constantly drip feeding organic nitrogen directly into your plants. You're watering your garden and fertilizing it at the same time, and you're doing it with a natural byproduct that most commercial sheep farmers literally burn or throw into landfills. You can't buy a plastic gadget that does all of this. So, how do you actually install this Amish water battery in your own backyard? The process is almost insultingly simple. When you're digging a hole for a new tomato or pepper plant, just go about 6 to 8 inches deeper than you normally would. You want to be completely below the main evaporation zone. Take 2 generous handfuls of raw wool and pack it down tightly into the bottom of the hole. Add a few inches of dirt back over the wool, and then plant your seedling right above it. That's it. You've just drought-proofed that plant for the entire season. Now, I can already hear the city folks asking, where on earth do I get raw sheep's wool? You don't need to own a farm. If you live anywhere near a rural area, track down a local sheep farmer. Tell them you want the tags or the belly wool. This is the dirty matted wool from the underside of the sheep. That is completely useless to the clothing industry. Most farmers literally burn it, or they'll gladly give it to you in massive garbage bags for free, just to get rid of it. If you're stuck in the suburbs, drive down to your local thrift store. Find the ugliest moth-eaten sweater on the clearance rack. Cut it into squares and bury them. But before you go burying your old winter clothes, listen to me very carefully. There is one catastrophic mistake you must avoid. If you get this wrong, you will poison your soil for the next century. You must check the label if that sweater contains even 10% polyester. Acrylic, nylon, or spandex. Do not put it in your soil. Those are synthetic plastics. They are made from petroleum. They will never break down. They will not absorb water. They will not feed your soil microbes. And they will slowly leach toxic microplastics into the root systems of the food you're about to feed your family. It must be 100% natural, raw animal fiber. Absolutely no exceptions. And secondly, do not bury it too shallowly. If you leave that wool exposed near the surface, the July sun will bake it dry, and it will actually wick moisture away from your plants. Keep it deep, keep it dark, and let the soil biology do the heavy lifting. When you pack that raw wool into the earth, and shut off your water spigot in the middle of a July drought, you're redoing a lot more than just saving $20 on a utility bill. You're stepping completely out of their system. Your backyard was never meant to be a seasonal ATM for the municipal water monopoly, and growing your own food was never supposed to involve a fragile, expensive dependency loop of plastic pipes, synthetic chemicals, and Bluetooth-enabled sprinkler valves. We were sold a lie. We were told that nature is inefficient, and that modern industry has a better, more expensive way to do it. But this simple 200-year-old Amish trick proves that the earth already holds the answers. It just requires us to look back at the biology we were forced to leave behind. So, if you found this information valuable, don't just keep it to yourself. Hit the like button and share this video with a neighbor or a friend who is out there right now, sweating over a broken plastic hose. When you share this, you're not just helping a YouTube channel. You're helping someone cut the cord. You're taking one more piece of land out of the hands of corporations.